Hello and welcome to the NYSCJA Safety Judges Certification course. This course will be broken into 4 modules. In this module, we will take a look at an introduction to New York State safety judging. Module 1 will cover course objective and philosophy, warnings, safety judging role and responsibilities, New York State score sheet and deductions worksheet, chain of command, state reporting, and finally assessment. Let's begin by taking a look at the safety course objective and the philosophy of a safety judge. At the completion of this course, you will have an extensive understanding of the role and responsibility of a safety judge, New York State safety score sheets, the New York State deductions, commonly misinterpreted NFHS rules, and the NFHS rule changes. Philosophy. The purpose of a safety judge is to alert coaches to violations their team is performing so it can be changed with the ultimate goal of the participant's safety in mind. At the same time, please understand the intent of the NFHS rules is safety, not punishing teams with deductions. Many times when a judge starts out with safety judging, they feel they're not doing their job unless they're finding violations with most teams. The reality is you may go through an entire competition and only give 1 or 2 safety violations. It is important to focus your attention and energy on Rule 3, Sections 2 through 9, which pose a greater safety issue to the athletes. Less seasoned safety judges tend to give more deductions for inattentive spotters, inappropriate hair, and jewelry, perhaps because they feel more comfortable with Rule 2 and Rule 3, Section 1, and less sure of structural technical deductions. With our philosophy in mind, let's discuss when to use discretion with the NFHS violations. In other words, when is it appropriate to give a warning instead of a violation? Safety deductions have a significant effect on the outcome of a competition, so we need to make sure that any deduction given was absolutely necessary and correct. Deducting points when there is no infraction is costly to the team's placement and morale. The NYSCJA has a responsibility to accurately interpret the NFHS rules without being punitive. So when is it appropriate to give a warning? First, give a warning if you think you saw something but you're not 100% certain it occurred. A common example is the inverted bracer. Many times this occurs very quickly and can be difficult for a judge to be 100% certain the bracer truly became inverted. Understand that a bracer does not become inverted unless their shoulders are completely below their waist or hips, not level with their waist or hips. As a general rule, only give this violation if it was blatantly obvious that their shoulders were below their hips. Basically, you should see their head was level with their knees when their legs are not bent. Otherwise, you should err on the side of caution and give a warning so the coach can check it and make sure the flyer is bending properly at the knees when bracing. Give a warning if you are not 100% certain your interpretation of a violation is correct. It's best to err on the side of caution and bring it to your rules interpreter so you know for the next competition. Plus, by giving a warning, it alerts the coach to the possibility of a violation so they can also check it with the rules interpreter and be prepared for their next competition. Give a warning if you see something you've never seen before so you can go back to the rules interpreter and get a ruling on it. Many times when we see something different or new, we tend to think it's a violation. Be on the side of the athletes and give a warning so it can be investigated and given a ruling for the next competition. Finally, give a warning if something is on the edge of being a violation. It is appropriate to alert coaches that their athletes are performing something in a way that is borderline illegal. This could include almost inverted flyers, almost tumbling off the mat during aerial twisting tumbling, like when half the foot goes off the mat, or hairs in the face of a flyer for a couple seconds. An additional note on warnings, many of the NFHS rules are very straightforward and have no room for interpretation, such as a spotter is required for a one-man stunt shoulder height or higher. Warnings should not be used in those cases unless you are not 100% sure they did not have a spotter. So what does a New York State safety judge do? Let's take a look at their roles and responsibilities.
First, let's discuss the key elements of being a successful safety judge. The first element is professional development. Know the rules. It's important to study and memorize the rule book each year to the best of your abilities. Skipping this step can lead judges to call infractions on skills that were violations in previous years but are no longer illegal, or vice versa. Memorize references. You need to have the ability to cite rule infractions on the spot. If you take the time to look up a rule during the performance, you risk missing other violations and deductions. Watch videos. The NYSCJA website has a wide variety of videos for safety rulings that you must review as those are updated each year. You should also review the videos on cheerrules.org and the Georgia State Cheerleading website, who both have a wide variety of videos for legal and illegal NFHS stunts. For practice, watch All-Star Level 4 videos. Level 4 has a mix of NFHS legal and illegal stunts, so it's a great resource for practice in identifying violations. Shadow when possible. This is a key element for new safety judges, but it's also a good idea at the beginning of the season for veteran safety judges. The more you practice, the better you will get at being a New York State safety judge. There's always room for improvement given the rules change every year. Stay up to date during the season. Coaches will always be making new stunts that need to be interpreted. Before each competition, you should review the NYSCJA safety web pages and other resources for updates. You don't want to call a violation on something only to find out there was already an interpretation video saying it was legal, or vice versa. Having videos available for all to view help keep everyone on the same page throughout the state. The next key element is judging techniques. First, count the athletes. This helps to inform you about what a team can and can't do. For example, a team of size 11 can't perform a braced flip. Next, anticipate what a team is about to do as they perform so you know what elements to look for. For example, you see a bracer without a back spot, be looking for braced flips, which would be illegal without both bracers having back spots. Check off key elements needed for any given skill, which again goes back to the importance of having the book memorized. And finally, prioritize. It's virtually impossible to catch everything in the high-speed routines we have today, so it's important to prioritize what you're looking for. When prioritizing, ask yourself, which skill is possibly going to create more catastrophic injuries? For example, if there is a pyramid sequence going on at the same time an individual is performing a tumbling sequence, your focus should be on the pyramid as it poses a greater risk to more participants. Another example is looking for jewelry or hair ties on a flyer while a stunt is being performed. The final element is making the call. Be sure of what you saw. We already discussed the use of warnings and when to properly apply them. Be consistent in your rulings at a particular event. If you give one team a warning for performing a skill you might think is illegal, then you should be giving a warning to any other team that also performs that skill, not citing a violation to some teams. Be consistent with your state interpretations. This again emphasizes the importance of staying up to date with state video rulings so your calls are consistent with the rest of the state. And finally, be professional and empathetic in your interactions with coaches and competition directors. If you're ever asked to explain a ruling, don't get upset or argumentative. Have empathy for the coach as they are passionate about their team and athletes, but clearly explain the rules in the book. Safety judges are responsible for monitoring and citing New York State deductions, NFHS violations, and the New York State routine requirements. Deductions are specific to New York State defined deductions such as out of bounds, falls, and drops. These will be defined and covered in detail in Module 2. Violations are specific to NFHS rules. It's important to note that any time a violation occurs, the panel judge must be alerted as that element can no longer be judged. NFHS rule clarifications and common misinterpretations will be covered in Module 3, and the NFHS new rule changes will be covered in Module 4. Safety judges are responsible for timing the entire routine and 30-second minimum cheer time, so you'll want to make sure to bring a timing device. A phone or tablet that allows for laps works best, as you can mark laps when you believe you may have seen a possible violation or when the cheer time begins and ends. The cheer time starts when the majority of the team starts cheering. Please note that 5, 6, 7, 8 by a couple people or similar start methods such as loading into a stunt without the majority of the team cheering does not count towards the cheer time. If a team does not meet the minimum cheer time, they will receive a 5-point deduction. For the 2-minute and 30-second maximum routine time, a team that goes over that maximum routine time will receive a 2-point deduction. Let's talk a little bit more about the timing of a routine. The timer on a routine starts when the music begins or on the first word or motion, whichever occurs first. Please note that someone saying 5, 6, 7, 8 or anything else to have a team hit a pose or load into a stunt at the beginning of a routine does not count towards the routine time. When assessing deductions for time, you always want to allow for a 3-second grace period, so the time deduction is not going to begin until after 2 minutes and 33 seconds. We also do not want to deduct for technical errors, so be aware of when a technical error occurs and give an approximate time to deduct from the actual time, then determine if a time deduction is still appropriate. Technical errors can include the wrong song being played, music malfunctioning, or errors with the music equipment. At the state tournament, the DJ will confirm when a technical error occurred. During regular competitions, if it's not clear that an error occurred, you can confirm with the DJ or person running the music. If a technical error happens at the start of a routine, you can just stop the timer and restart it when the technical error is fixed. If a technical error happens in the middle of a routine, the judge should lap their timer as soon as they realize a technical error is occurring, then lap again when the error is resolved. The lap or technical error time should be deducted from the total time. TE-error time should be noted on the score sheet. Please use your best judgment. If you feel it took 5 seconds to realize a technical error was occurring, then add that to the lap time and deduct that from the total time of the routine. Here are some examples on how to handle technical errors. Example 1. A team has had a total routine time of 2 minutes and 50 seconds and a technical error time of 17 seconds. The routine time written on the score sheet would be 2 minutes and 33 seconds because you're subtracting 17 seconds from 2 minutes and 50 seconds. You would then note next to the time box on the deduction sheet, TE-17 seconds. And no time deduction would be taken because this falls within the 3-second grace period. Example 2. A team has a total routine time of 2 minutes and 45 seconds and a technical error time of 10 seconds. The routine time written on the score sheet would be 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and then TE-10 seconds would be noted in the time section on the score sheet, and a time deduction would be taken because it falls outside the 3-second grace period.
In the next section, we will review the New York State deduction and safety score sheets in detail. Here is the top half of the New York State deductions and violations score sheet. The first thing you want to make sure is the team name and division are filled out, and then you will fill out your initials on the judge line. The first 2 sections here deal with violations, except for one element, stepping out of bounds, has been included in this section because it has the same value as a violation in Rule 2 and Rule 3, Section 1. Pay close attention to the point difference for violations of Rule 2 and Rule 3, Section 1, which are half-point violations, and Rule 3, Section 2 through 9, which are 5-point violations. Also notice that Section 10 is not included because Section 10, props as bases, is illegal in New York State. When giving a warning, note a W after the rule citation in this area here. If you give an infraction or warning, it's required you give the details in the warning infraction box. During the routine, when you notice a possible violation, you need to note the time of the violation. The lap button is very helpful in quickly noting this time.
Falls and drops are separated into tumbling and stunting. You write the total number for each under the number of infractions, then subtotal in the boxes to the right. Time of the routine must always be noted whether a time violation occurred or not. Technical error times can be written to the right of the time of routine box. The cheer time should be noted, and if any time deductions apply, place a check or X in those boxes, then total your time deductions in the box to the far right. The total number of bobbles or touchdowns are written on the lines provided, then subtotaled in each box. You should then tally all of your subtotals for the final violations and deduction score. In any total boxes that do not have a deduction or violation, please put a 0 with a line through it. No subtotal boxes should be left empty. It is important to note the difference between ACCA rules and NFHS rules. New York State coaches are covered for liability with the NFHS rules only. Teams are not allowed to perform ACCA legal, NFHS illegal stunts to prepare for national competitions that follow ACCA rules. The major stunts that this involves this year are high-to-high and high-to-low releases. If these skills prove to have a low number of injuries, it's likely that they'll become legal next year with NFHS.
Next, we'll take a look at the safety deduction worksheet. This is an optional sheet that will only be used when there is an extra assigned point deduction judge, or can be used when there are two panels with two safety judges. However, I would like to note that we have found in the last couple years that when two safety judges are available, they are more effective when they work together and fill out their safety score sheets for their panel rather than doing the PDJ worksheet. Here is the deductions worksheet. Deductions should be marked in the corresponding time box using the associated code from the key in the approximate location where it occurred on the performance mat. When the performance is complete, you will write the total number of each type of deduction in the corresponding deductions box. These deduction numbers should be given to the safety judge to complete the safety score sheet. Once both sheets are completed, please staple the two sheets together with the safety score sheet on the top. Next, let's review the chain of command for safety inquiries. First, I'd like to review the process for coaches so you can properly disseminate this information if asked by a coach. It is the responsibility of all coaches to read, know, and understand the information presented in the NFHS Spirit Rules book. All safety questions should be sent directly to the local chapter rules interpreter. If their local chapter does not have an assigned rules interpreter, questions should be sent directly to the state rules interpreter. In most cases, questions about legality should be accompanied by videos. In the videos, athletes should be in practice clothes that do not identify their school, and be sure to not have any identifying features in the background of the video that would identify the school or section. Videos should be filmed on a smartphone horizontally for HD clarity. Coaches should not involve any athletes in the videos who are not allowed to have their images published on the internet via the school's annual approval list. It is the coach's responsibility to make sure these requirements are met. Coaches should indicate if they approve their video for public posting on the state website for educational purposes. It is the coach's responsibility to inquire about all safety violations and warnings given to resolve the issue. It is also the responsibility of all local rules interpreters to read, know, and understand the information presented in the NFHS Spirit Rules book. If you cannot make a ruling with 100% confidence, you should forward the question to the state rules interpreter. If you are making a ruling, please forward that video and ruling to the state rules interpreter to be published on the state webpage either privately or publicly. Please note whether the coach has approved the video to be published and all participants are eligible for public posting of their image. It is your responsibility to check the state reporting site each week to make sure your assigned safety judges have posted their violations and warnings from competitions within 3 days and contact them if they have not reported. If a safety judge is not consistently reporting, please contact the state rules interpreter. Finally, it is the responsibility of all safety judges to read, know, and understand the information presented in the NFHS Spirit Rules book. All safety questions should be sent directly to the local rules interpreter. Again, if your local chapter does not have an assigned rules interpreter, questions should be sent directly to the state rules interpreter. It is your responsibility to submit all warnings and violations to the NYSCJA Safety Submissions webpage within 3 days of a competition. Any judges who do not report on a regular basis could be removed from safety judging. If no violations occur at a competition, please email your local rules interpreter to notify them that no violations occurred. As NFHS leaves some discretion and interpretation to the states, you may only contact your local rules interpreter or the state rules interpreter. You may not contact NFHS, ACA, or any other individual for rulings or interpretations. As mentioned in the previous section, all violations that a safety judge cites at a competition must be reported to the state. In this final section, we will review how to submit your violations to the state webpage. All violations and warnings given by safety judges need to be submitted to the state within 3 days. Please note that when working on a single panel competition, if you have either a smartphone or a tablet where you can connect to the Wi-Fi at the competition or use the internet on your phone, there is plenty of time to go on the website and submit your violations as they occur, so you do not need to spend time outside of the competition submitting your violations and warnings. The link to the state reporting form can be found on the NYSCJA Safety webpage. All submitted violations and warnings are immediately available on the NYSCJA Judges and NYSPA Committee tab of the NYSCJA website. You only need to report deductions and warnings that actually occurred during the performance. Out of bounds, deductions, and time violations do not need to be submitted online. Also, amounts of violations do not need to be submitted online, including in the infraction details or additional comments. At this time, please click on the link directly below this video and take the Module 1 assessment. At the bottom of the module page, you also have the opportunity to submit questions that will be answered during the live training sessions being held across the state. In the next module, we will review the New York State defined deductions.